We're here in New York, and it's the first of my series of quick-fire questions. I'm with fellow entrepreneur Caroline, who is Irish, having a go in the US, and thank you for being the first person on this series.
Great.
So your name and company you work for?
So Caroline Wharton, and I'm with IAMPASS Technologies Inc., and I'm the COO, which means everything except coding at a startup.
Brilliant. And how long have you been in New York?
New York, 7.5 years, and I spent 2 years in Chicago before that.
And what's the best thing you like about living here?
Easily the people. It's just so diverse. You're going to meet people from all walks of life that you wouldn't. I don't think there's many cities in the world you get to meet the variety, and everybody's here chasing an opportunity.
Biggest learning experience working for a startup? Particularly because you came from a big corporate.
Yeah, I mean, I think one, if you don't do it, there's nobody else to do it. And two, when you're in a startup, everything is urgent. There's a real sense of urgency that others don't have. So patience, probably.
What keeps you awake at night? Outside of the traffic that's on the
yeah,
and the horns beeping and people fighting outside.
Honestly, IAMPASS, always just, you're in a startup, there's very little margin forever. So how are we moving the needle forward? Sales, funding, lots of tossing and turning on that.
Yeah. It's a pretty broad question, but what terrifies you?
Probably failure. And there's people, and I know people who have, we've all had failures in our life, but I suppose, especially with a startup, I feel the responsibility to the investors, to the people we work with. So that's probably a heavy burden.
In your life right now, what goals are you working towards?
I suppose what I've done in the last few years is a real pivot from big corporate, and so for me, it's one, it has been a sort of a new learning experience. Somebody said to me when I left big corporate, the world is going to open up to you, and I thought, kind of okay. I just didn't understand how true that would be. So I think for me, the goals are about IAMPASS and, growing that and growing the business, the revenue into stable, but also I think understanding how I can contribute to things outside of IAMPASS.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
A couple spring to mind. One was, I think I was probably still in school, and Finbar Constant was his name, and he said, any opportunity you get for travel, take it. Will broaden your horizons. There will be times in your life maybe you can't travel because of commitments. And when he said travel, it wasn't like 2 weeks in Ibiza, like go travel, see the world's perspective. I'd be a massive advocate of that. And I've taken him quite literally on that. And the other thing I would say is it's never as bad or it's never as good as people make out. And what I mean by that is, when everything was $1 billion idea, well, that's not realistic. But also then it's like soul momentum when we talk ourselves, oh, it's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. We'll all get up tomorrow. We'll try again. So I think it's like having a perspective, because there's a lot of momentum in markets, and that can impact how you perceive your own business or your own value. And, reality is somewhere a bit more in the middle.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Interesting, the one about travel. I saw a very successful Irish entrepreneur years ago being interviewed, and he said the one thing he'd always done early on in his career was travel, go to new countries, meet new people, get new inspirations. And he said even when he had no money, he always did it. And it was something that really struck me and stood with me. And ultimately I live in the US now, but even before that, I used to always travel a lot. And you never know what opportunities.
And I think get out of your bubble.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to be in a bubble, the way social media, everything operates. So I think kind of getting out of your bubble and, you'll get a new perspective.
Yeah. And what's your purpose in life?
Gosh. So I suppose if I think about IAMPASS, and look, I worked in corporate investment banking and, talking old school, kind of toxic, sexist environments. So putting it mildly, but like if I think about IAMPASS is I want to create a company with like diversity of thought, and that the saying, ability is a normal distribution, opportunity doesn't.
Yeah.
And like so many companies have this D&I that means nothing, that's box ticking. So I'd love to create a business that really, really embraces that. So looking for aptitude and attitude, but also then, I work with Cornell Tech, and I always feel like if you can do something in your life to move the needle just a little bit in terms of like just for the betterment, not even in a grandiose way, then that's what I'd hope I do. And I also would say that I've no interest in having a headstone or a grave. I'm like, cremate me, whatever, good luck. But I'd hope that your peers or the people you worked with, you interacted with, would look back and say that in some small way you tried to make a positive contribution.
That's a great purpose.